As we learned the other day, we got a new gameplay trailer dropping today, and this appears to be it. I'm watching this on Frontier's website directly, well, the JWE3 website directly. And we'll go through the website a little bit afterward and see if there's any other new information coming out as
16.
well. Okay, that's very loud. Thank you. Okay, seeing that. That's new.
Welcome to the Dinosaur Integration Network, or DIN for short. Our organization brings groundbreaking, sustainable breeding programs to a global clientele of demanding site owners. We are taking paleo-curation into exciting new territory. Where previous pioneers exclusively synthesized female dinosaurs, we are also creating males. These animals aren't assets to us, but the beginning of a new evolution. And do keep an eye on the young dinosaurs. They can inherit more than just appearances. Every site must be a perfect balance of security and spectacle. Protecting our guests is crucial.
Scaling was
So is
surprising to me.
inspiring the next generation.
Oh, that's so sick.
As
That
with any
terrain
project
slope
of this
system is
scale,
great.
Not everything will go according to plan. As the park manager, you'll also need to assess emerging situations and get them under control. It won't be easy, but that's why we're hiring the best. DIN is here to make a difference. Now, I'm sure you have plenty of questions, but please.
Okay.
Caution, gate opening.
This is your first and final warning. Din must not continue.
Okay, more of like an actual organized like enemy, which is interesting. Ah, swimmy, swimmy. I see. Okay. Let's go back from the beginning. So, first things first. Generically speaking, a lot of repeated footage in this trailer, which was a bit disappointing. A lot of new stuff though, so not so bad. I'm gonna comment also on the ending first before we go through the whole thing. That voice, that whole situation at the end was like very what was the dinosaur liberation group in Chaos Theory that Brooklyn was with? It makes me think of that, which would be weird if that was like a core integrated feature of the game, something from Chaos Theory. Because we got obviously no rebirth content, at least at launch it seems, or in these trailers at least. So it's kind of weird to me if they dip so heavily into the shows, which they've kind of not fully ignored, but like the shows get, skins and that's it. But I would be against it because it would be an interesting dynamic. I think there's a lot you could do with a campaign centered around, you know, a united antagonist force that wants to like liberate the dinosaurs. I think that's very, very interesting.
16.
So let's skip through here a little bit. So I think, yeah, this is the first like new thing we see in this trailer, right? So one, this baby skin here on the trike still screams Pachyrhinosaurus to me. Two, this man is petting this Triceratops. So this is the direct interaction exhibit they talked about, I think, and it is just the Gentle Giants petting zoo, and that is sick. I wonder if this will be specifically something for baby dinos only, or if some of the smaller species can also just be in here. But I really like this. This is a great new way to like integrate the dinosaurs more directly into the park for the visitors. Like this is very cool. Um I think people have wanted new attractions for quite a while, right? And I think people didn't like really push on that hard enough. I think this is a more important gameplay feature than babies in general. For me, it's like new attractions is pretty high up, and the reworked water is like the thing that makes me more excited. There's so many park designs I've done where when it comes to putting in like making rivers or whatever, it feels very lame and flat and boring and dull. And I'm very happy about the new terrain tools in general and the attractions. Yeah, this is the juvenile raptor, isn't it? I had to in the first trailer, like none of my recordings I recognized that. I watched it again later on my own. I'm like, wait, that's a juvenile, right? It actually is smaller. I think the perspective is like it's so close to the camera. I just didn't like put it together with the perspective that no, this one is actually a good bit smaller. Like this, where I paused to hear exact, particularly, you could tell it's the juvie. Also, the eye's a little bit bigger. It looks like. So yeah, we get the logo for the campaign group DIN.
Welcome to the Dinosaur Integration Network.
We meet our first new in-game character, Kira Chang.
Or DIN for short. Our organization brings groundbreaking.
I've seen people be like, Cabot Fincher has to come back. Like, he probably will be. He's like the human face of the JWE franchise. Like, I'm sure they'll have Cabot show up again.
Making sustainable breeding programs to a global clientele of demanding.
This dialogue also makes it seem like breeding
will be
like a core feature of the campaign. Since it
exclusively synthesized female.
Yeah, since it seems like that's what her voiceover is talking about completely. Okay, so we got a few things here. This is an actual look at in-game UI stuff. So let's go a little slower.
Exclusively.
Hatchery 3 operational Triceratops dubase in use for power consumption. Get a peek at the sidebar of the UI, which I think we've actually seen that before and some stuff, right? Nothing too substantially different. Some different icons here. Maybe that icon right below the bulldozer there, below the delete icon, is maybe island hopping. Or, well, not islands necessarily, but, switching between different parks. Looks like a little island map, maybe. Although, also, that could be the world icon up top. That's probably more likely. So then that's probably something different. Maybe reputation? Because we don't have, like, meters at the bottom or anything for reputation, so that could be that.
Synthesized female.
Or maybe there's an equivalent in the game currently. I'm just not thinking of it. 3 viable eggs, 4 batch, 63% survival rate. Okay, so JWE1 survival rate was based on how many mods you put into the animal, balanced by your hatchery upgrades. And 2, it was just an expression of like your total DNA, right? And then the animal itself, like there would be a min to max on the batch size until you do the upgrades. Curious if this is changed now with some adjustments to the genome. And then it looks like this is the same synthesis incubation system from 2, because we can see that these are both, halfway. They're at this stopping point here. So I think this is the synthesis, and then, the incubation is the larger part of the bar. Same as M2.
Male dinosaurs. We are.
Okay, then we got this screen. So this is showing us our egg clutch. We know 3 females, 1 male. I kind of would like if maybe we didn't know that. That might be interesting. 1 genetic trait. Is the 1 genetic trait here on this female the genes? The cosmetic genes? Because like it is a gene, right? Or is there like a hidden genetic trait? Which is something I talked about on stream, and I thought would be really cool. Would be like hidden penalties that, maybe you don't know that your dinosaurs have a bad genome or something, that they're breeding weakness into the population. You can't just click on them and check their stats. You would need to do, like a figure it out over time based on their behavior, or maybe have like some sort of, genetics lab that can like investigate further.
We're also creating males.
Okay, and there's our male with his extra big frill. I like the horns, not sold on the frill.
We are also creating male.
It makes sense for him to have a bigger frill, but something about it looks weird. It might just be kind of the perspective. So hold on.
Creating males. Males.
So it looks to me. Wait, Salar Rana, Death Valley Pulcrana. Okay, so this is like a cut, right?
Also creating male.
They're not switching from female to male. because the skin changes, right? This can't be like pick the thing on incubation. This is something different, I think. Maybe? I mean, it is still 1211. This is weird. Because, like, if you can control the default female or male during incubation, which you can do with, like, reptiles and some animals, right? But, like, it's based on, like, incubation temperature or something like that, can, like, influence the expression of the male or female, something like that. Plus, obviously, right, it's Jurassic Park. They literally, influence in the original movie to make them all hatch female. Um, but just the fact that the skin changes makes me think there's a quick cut here to just, instead of them having to go down through the interface and like bring up the male, they just did a quick cut so that it would be immediately there or something like that.
Males.
Okay, here's an in-game shot. I will say the trike here, the male, doesn't look as out of place. I don't think we have any support for this different head shape in the franchise, right? This is just a Frontier thing they decided to do. Like, the stripes on the male is canon, because you could see the male Triceratops in 3 with stripes, and there's kind of a shot in 2 that shows stripes on the trike when it's in the camp, but that's always felt like a glitch to me, like a rendering error, as opposed to it's supposed to actually have stripes, because the stripes really only show up in like a few frames, and they don't really look natural. They're also kind of pretty different in 2 in Lost World versus how they show up in 3. But I do like that, at least that they did give the male the stripes. That makes me happy. We can do some JP3 stuff with that.
These animals aren't.
Okay, there's the nest. Medium nest 1, Triceratops. So here's the thing, right? So the nests are clearly animal size, generic object, right? This could be a Stegosaurus nest, and it would be the same. But it is picking a specific animal ahead of time. It's not like you put the nest in and an animal species will claim it. It seems like somehow you are assigning the nest. Maybe. Wait. No, maybe this exhibit is only Triceratops. And if you had like Triceratops and Ankylosaurus here, it would say like Triceratops and Ankylosaurus. Maybe it's just a listing of which animals in the paddock could use the nest. And it just happens to only be Triceratops.
Assets to us. But
okay. The nest actually has a UI. It's not just its own discrete thing. So medium nesting area where many dinosaur species can lay their eggs. 3 eggs in the nest. We have a timer for the hatching. Occupant claimed. Okay. So claimed does imply that what I just said before was correct, that it's not that you assign the nest, that the nest is picked by an available animal in the enclosure. This just happens to only be a Triceratops enclosure. Entertainment reputation +2. So this gives you extra entertainment rep, because they want to see nests, I guess. Sure. There's a little paint can, so you can customize the nests. So they are not simple one-of static objects with a particular look to them. So that's interesting.
the beginning of a new evolution.
All right, and the babies. The Triceratops baby is really nice. I do like this baby a lot. I don't know. It doesn't really resemble, like, the Lost World baby. And, like, maybe it resembles... I think it does kind of resemble the Jurassic World baby that we see in the petting zoo, I guess. But it feels a little different. And certainly the stripes... The stripes are not from any of the movies. It having the stripes on the side looks good for, like, having the baby... You know, giving the baby a little more camouflage or whatever, but... None of the juvenile Triceratopses in the movies have had stripes. This is a comment I've seen. I think this came up during the stream as well, but I've seen it other places. Um, why are the animals that we have film canon juvenile variations for not using the film canon animal? Like, this is close enough at least to the world Triceratops. Like, I'm not gonna be like it's wrong, but what I will say is the pattern is wrong, right? So even if the design is correct, why did they give it? I guess the argument you make, right, is that if you could have these with no pattern, we don't know that you can't have like right. We don't know that this pattern doesn't work like the base like JWE2 skins work, right? So maybe you can remove the pattern, and then if this didn't have the pattern, it would essentially be the Jurassic World juvenile. But so far, everyone we've seen has had the pattern.
And do keep an eye on the young.
Well, I say that might be an unpatterned one. So maybe not. Maybe okay. Yeah, I guess issue resolved maybe. But my point still stands, right? Because like we've seen the juvenile Allosaurus, it's not the Fallen Kingdom design, right? So the point stands even if the Triceratops comment about the skins actually doesn't matter. Covered health, food, water, stamina, security. No look at the deeper demand here. Same like animal welfare meters we've seen. The food and water bars do have segments to them. Did they ever have segments in 2? I feel like they didn't. Maybe there's thresholds for like desperation, how hard it looks for like resources or something. I feel like you wouldn't need to put that in the UI, but I guess you could.
Dinosaurs. They can inherit more than just appearances.
That's hold on. I don't know why I'm focused on the Carno. That's a different pattern. I'm not a big fan of that necessarily. Although the Carno pattern we have in 2 only really has the one good color. This striping could work better with some other stuff. I don't know why I didn't notice that before.
Than just appearances. Every site must be a perfect balance of security and.
Okay, a look at all the little decorations here. A lot of variations. Like, are those what, like security pillars? And there's multiple ones of those. Little icons and logos. Look at all the tabs. That's crazy. Holy hell. They went all out. That's a lot of stuff.
Spectacle.
Yeah, we can see here you can actually scale this stuff too. Which, like, I'm only surprised to see it because of how much of a step up over 2 it is. Like, fairly obvious if you're doing this kind of modular decorating system, you would have some scaling in it. That makes sense, but like every time they do, look, in some sense here, we're being impressed by them doing the bare minimum because they're actually doing the bare minimum. If I want to be like, I don't know, mean for a moment, I can say that, but I am impressed. What that UI element say? Advanced move, delete, duplicate, collision off. You can toggle collision. That's something people have wanted since 1. That's so we have in-game collision toggle. At least on decorations. That's still really good though. People are gonna love that.
Protecting our guests.
We got an actual dynamic color palette. Maybe this was in 2 for some of the building recoloring, because I never do that. This might have been in 2, actually. Here's the real talk. Why do we not have this for the dinosaurs? I'm pretty sure, like, it can actually kind of be done. Because people are able to very easily, well, relatively easily, do new colors for the animals we already have. Like, you could download expanded species mods that add, like, pages of new colors to existing animals with the existing, like, patterns and stuff. So it's my understanding that essentially the JW2 engine already supports kind of behind the scenes making the animals any color. They just don't have the UI elements for it, right? So anybody who wants to add new colors to an animal has to do it through new preset skins and patterns. But it probably should, be set up in a way where you can use this sort of like color picker to recolor the animals. And well, I mean, given that we've already seen the skins and pattern names like Salar do Hasco and such, it's seems unlikely that this will be a thing they actually do for the animals, which is kind of disappointing.
Crucial, but so isn't.
All right, we got large hotels. We got a few different versions. We can see the custom build, community creations hidden toggle. Makes sense. So these are potentially all default hotel appearances, or potentially hotels they've customized and built as well.
Inspiring the next generation.
It's pretty cool. This looked awesome. This slope tool. Just the fact that you could say, I want the terrain to go from A to B to make a slope for the guests to walk up or the dinosaurs to walk up. And it does it. And it doesn't just make the slope. It does like the side rocks. Like that's the part that really impresses me. The way you generate the slope and it like seamlessly fills in the terrain on the side to have it not be just a flat, like this angle here. You do an equivalent slope in 1 or 2, and it's just going to be this flat slope down here that goes to nothing. And that's great. Although, one problem you can notice here, right? Maybe they should have not done this exactly. You could see that the rocks that generate on the side of this slope have covered up the original slope. But maybe these are also placed objects you can just delete, and like you can clean up the transition a little bit, and then you got a nice, L-shaped slope here. Like, this might not be hard to, like, fix for what they're trying to do here. But it's a little weird for the demonstration of this slope tool in the trailer to, like, visually, obviously mess up the previously placed slope. But it still is very cool. Still very excited to see this in action. We've seen that. We've seen this.
As with any...
I suppose, technically, this shot showed us that we have scaling decorations. I just never put it together. These are all different sized Gallimimus statues. Same with the Brachys in the background. I just never thought about it.
As with any project of the...
Anything new here? We've seen this shot, right? I think we've seen this shot.
Scale.
Oh yeah, we
Not
have. Somebody posts on the subreddit they think there are Platyosaurs in the water. I would say those are very definitely baby Brachiosaurs. You're wrong.
Everything will go according to plan. As the park manager, you'll also need to assess emerging situations.
Security camera footage. This could be even a mock-up. Like, can't really say this is actual in-game footage. I'm not convinced. It does say switch camera at the bottom, but it still could be a mock-up. But this would be pretty cool if this is the camera footage with, like, the little, tracking UI element. That's kind of fun. Like, you could have some fun doing, like I've seen people who've done, like, horror videos and stuff on using in-engine shit, and this would kind of work with that. Can't tell what pterosaur or whatever's on this fountain. Hold on, I'm going to blow it up. Well, that's still nothing. Maximum quality. Oh, it's not a pterosaur. I think it's a mosasaur. The head is just kind of weirdly... Oh yeah, the mouth is open towards the camera. Why was I not watching this on max quality earlier? Interestingly, okay, is this heat map thing here on this berry? I think so. I think this isn't a red berry. This is just, it's tinted red by the camera, maybe to show that it's a threat. I was going to say this is an interesting red baryonyx design, but it's not that. It's like a heat map. Also, this island is currently apparently in a storm state. It is currently somehow a storm. It doesn't look really stormy.
And get them under
I guess it is raining, yeah.
control. It won't be easy, but that's why
Capture team, Trank and Stim. Yeah.
we're hiring the best. Din is here to make a difference.
This is interesting, right? If this is actually a map of the locations in game, we got Japan, we know that's in. We've got somewhere in China, that makes sense. We've got, oh, probably Malta? Where's Malta actually located? I don't know. Northern Italy. We've got the Azores, maybe? People wanted the Azores in because it's Jurassic Park Europe. Like, if they did Japan and the Azores for Jurassic Park Japan and Jurassic Park Europe, I am, like, so surprised they did that deep cut. Like, it's, like, Japan being in kind of makes the Azores less surprising. But, like, at the same time, you can imagine them doing a Japanese aesthetic just cause. Especially because they got a lot of the assets in Planet Zoo already.
Now.
Yeah, so that probably is the Jurassic Park Europe location. That's crazy.
I'm sure you have plenty of questions, but please.
And then we have the Vegas location we know about, and then the Snakewater, Montana, Badlands location. So these are probably real locations. Which makes sense. We've seen a Malta aesthetic, right? Japan, the 2 US locations are all in here. No snowy locations yet. Wait, is this Biosin Valley? It's in the Dolomites, right? I don't know the exact geographic location of where that would be, but that's possibly Biosin Valley. I would like to see that come back. I think that would be neat. Especially, like, doing it in like, after Dominion Biosin Valley, this is what the state of things is. Which would make sense, too, if they do, like, a Malta park location, then it makes sense to have maybe Biosin Valley park location, to have both of those Dominion things called back. So the odd one out there, then, China. What is the motivation for that one? I don't know. Well, that's seven maps then. So that's more than JWE1's campaign, which is interesting.
But please.
It does feel like it's going to be more of a more like the campaign's going to be definitely more of a focus point than 2. And it feels like the campaign might be maybe more intensive than JWE1's, which I think is probably likely. Just the fact that they talk about it being kind of non-linear and imply that you'll be bouncing between islands makes it more involved.
But please.
Okay, why choose them over us? So this is not the Dinosaur Liberation Group. We can actually, I noticed it here when I paused previously to go back. Humanity first. So this is a kill the dinosaurs, fuck these fuckers group. So yeah, these are people who think the dinosaurs should be extinct.
This is your first and final warning. Din must not continue.
So it's not a release the animals for their own sake, it's a release the animals to try and bring down the organization that's breeding them. Just trying to see if there's anything there in the background. The vending machines are knocked over. That's a fun little look. Do we think this is legitimate damage? Where, like, because of the breakout, and, like, I don't know, a dinosaur went this way, that, like, a bunch of the decorations have been temporarily damaged and knocked over? Because it's pretty cool looking visually to see this stuff all knocked over. It just feels, like, really complicated to me to have a bunch of little individual decorations that can get knocked over like that, right? And how do you fix this? Do you have to click on each one of these with the Jeep? That would be crazy. Can we take a better look at these raptors for shits and giggles? Yep, those are raptors. Okay, yep. The slight stripping on the thigh here gives me JWE2 raptor pattern vibes, which is immensely disappointing. If this is the pattern, that would kind of imply the raptor we saw that had the very bright stripe on the nose is just the male, which is like, why? Why is that the default male? We have multiple instances of female-male raptor pairings. Why are those not used? Why? Like, here's what I think should be, right? I think the default raptor should be styled after the Lost World raptors, which is the only traditional raptor design where we see the male and female distinctively on screen. Jurassic Park 1, we don't get the males. I mean, one of them is male, but is not visually male, right? Presumably when the animals change sex from male to female or from female to male in a single sex environment, they don't change their aesthetics. Seemingly, based on the first movie, right? Which is the only time we have confirmation that a male dinosaur exists that was not born male, right? So presumably that happens. And then in 3, we get male and female, of course, but it's the JP3 variant, which, like, they're not using the JP3 variant as the default raptor, so we can't use the male and female skins from JP3 as that one either. But so that leaves the Lost World as, like, the animal that should be the template for what the default looks like. And they're not doing that, and that disappoints me. Another case of them like, hey, you have a male in this franchise, why are you not using it as the template for how you do a male for the species? Or a juvenile.
Din must not continue.
Alright, that's everything until we get to the swimming Spino. Just snuck in here at the end, so confirmation that Spinosaurids swim. This is sick as fuck. I don't think I have anything else to say. I was pretty confident this would be in. There's some people who have like a real negative attitude, I guess you'd say, about the franchise, and every time something is announced, they like prepare themselves for disappointment by being like, oh, I'm not gonna get my hopes up that swimming is in, even though deep water is in. But I think you need to like be reasonable about these things, right? You need to think as think like a game developer, even a game developer that's cutting corners occasionally. Like, you don't put in deep water and not have it integrate into the rest of the game. Like, come on. Clearly, Spinosaurids were going to swim. Like, there's tempering expectations, and then there's just taking an unreasonably negative outlook on things. And, like, I think, you can temper your expectations for whether or not Crocs will be in the game, but this was always going to happen. We were always going to get swimming Spinosaurids. Like, come on. Also, it was essentially confirmed on the website already by saying that the animals, the fishers, the piscivores would eat from the lakes directly. So, like, how they could just walk up to the shoreline and eat, like basically use the feeder animation they have now, but like in the lake. But come on, it's soft confirmation they were going to swim. Now we got a hard confirmation they swim, and this shouldn't be surprising. It is very cool to see though, and it looks nice. Anything there at the fade out? There could be. Oh god. There could be little secrets as the camera pans. There isn't. Okay. Let's see if we have anything else here. Wait, this is new. So we do have new screenshots. Okay. Okay. Baby Stego does give Lost World vibes. The tail, I think, is a bit longer than the Lost World one, but the profile shot here still does make me think Lost World a bit. Actually, compared with the Jurassic World era adult, this baby looks more Lost Worldy than this adult does. You could see that maybe there's like these like larger scales that are kind of present on the world design here on the baby, but still looks like the baby is drawing at least some inspiration from Jurassic Park: The Lost World. So that's good. I wonder how they're going to handle variants, right? Like, a film skin can transfer to a baby, that makes sense, right? It's just a different variation on the skins, like, fine. But how do you handle variants? Like, if you have a Jurassic World Stego and a Lost World Stego, would you give them unique babies or just have them use the same baby? Because maybe this is soft confirmation they use the same baby, because this echoes the Lost World a lot. And you know what? This to me looks more likely to grow into the Lost World variant, but the fact that it's the only baby we've seen for Stego means it definitely grows into the World variant, right? So this could just be a forked, it's a Gloom. It can evolve into a Vileplume or a Blossom, right? Could be. this gets weirder for some more substantially different variants. Like I assume the Frontier designs are cut for animals that have a canon appearance now, like Iguanodon. But there are still animals with pretty substantial variation in the franchise, like the Velociraptors. So it'd be weird if we had like one Velociraptor baby that could grow into like the Quilled Raptors. That would be a little strange, maybe. But would they really put in, like, I don't know if they'd really put in the effort to make a baby for the variants. I think it's probably more likely they'd be cut, right? That we just wouldn't get like the JP3 Raptors. And that would be disappointing. Are there any other substantial variants in the franchise? The Pteranodons. Yeah, the Pteranodons. Especially the Pteranodons. They're like the most egregious example because like the Lost World, JP3, and Jurassic World all like introduce new designs every time. Parasaurs, we got the Biosyn Parasaur. God, I'd be sad if that's not in. I really like that design. Confirmation of ground fiber, ground fruit, so the same paleo veg system is in here. Juvenile population and cohabitation. This is on the juveniles specifically. So it looks like the social welfare of the babies maybe is dependent upon the other babies. Like he may need a friend specifically to be happy, which is maybe not unreasonable. Kind of weird. I would assume the social need would have been for the whole species and not specifically the juveniles versus adults. Is that the only new screenshot? Or are all these new? Wait, I think all these are new. This is just like this was from the trailer or whatever, kinda. No, wait, was this from the trailer? Because the map looks familiar. This is the one with the dome in the back, but did we ever see this helicopter flying over this particular park? I don't know. Oh, I guess the Brockies also have in franchise variant. Male, female, Geosternbergia probably. Flying through cherry trees, sure. Most of the family. Is there any male-female difference here? Maybe the spikes are reduced on the back one? Maybe? Triceratopses, again. The Rex family we've seen. The editing is from the new trailer, so this must be a new one. Advanced move. So the default color palette, we can also color picker. Okay. Grid size, grid height, collision. So there's a grid. Is this a park grid or is this a grid for designing the building? Why would you change the height? This is probably for designing the building. What height do you want the grid to show at? What spacing do you want the grid to have? That way you can align and design things when you're editing the building. That's probably what that is. That would make sense. Also, do all these screenshots have the same amount of cache in the park? No, this one's different. Both of these are at 97,515,141, which is funny. Okay. Oh, okay, we got swimming Spino shot. Yep. That's a Spinosaurus, alright. Okay. But then that goes back to the Geosternbergia shot? I'm very confused by the interface of these shots. Why did this show just one new one? Wait, is that sliding everything down by one? No. What? Sorry, what? What is happening with the way these shots are selected here? Oh, we got high-res shots from the deluxe. Look at the Thanatos family. Wow. That's probably the biggest high-res version we've seen of the Protoceratops family. Male and female both have quills. Really happy to see the quilling come in here. It really felt kind of weird to me and disappointing that we didn't have a quilled ceratopsian in 2 at any point. I really like the aesthetic of the quills from Psittacosaurus being on other things. Look at the Guanlongs. I like the neck on this guy. He's got a good like turkey beard thing going on here. Appreciate that. And the conch baby. Okay, and then that goes there. Alright. Featured videos, screenshots. So that's the announced trailer. Alright, I'll have a quick peek and look for some more new stuff if there's anything. Alright, I didn't find anything else on the website immediately, but we do have some other info here. Credit to Best in Slot for this. Apparently there's a BBC interview that shows some new stuff as well. I'm not going to watch the full interview, but we got a Dilo baby, which looks very weird and smooth and strange. Looks a little bit better. Okay, that is adorable. It tucking its head under the mother's frill is kind of or the why can't I think of the word? Do we refer to this as a frill? I'm having a moment. But that is a very cute social animation. That's very good. It keeps going. That's very funny. We're gonna rewatch that again. The baby still looks a little soft and like made of Play-Doh to me, but also this confirms that we're sticking with the bullshit idea that's really pushed forward by particularly Dominion that this is the adult Dilophosaurus size, and I hate that because it's confirmed in the Lost World that the adults are bigger, and the franchise has chosen to consistently ignore that, and that really frustrates me. Oh well. Look at the little baby feeding, and then we go back to interview footage that I'm going to skip through, and then we got another little clip coming up here. Protoceratops baby. Underdeveloped frill makes sense. He's rubbing his face on the ground. Yep. He's doing his thing. Okay. And that appears to be all the footage out of that interview. So it seems like there's additional footage, but it's all YouTuber exclusive shit. It seems like they were sent some additional like gameplay footage. So I'm gonna watch Game and Beavers look at it because he seems to front load the footage. I didn't check everybody's stuff, but I have muted it. I'm not going to steal his voiceover or anything or talk over him. So we'll see what we got here. Just to add my own commentary to the footage, you know? Feels really weird using another YouTuber's footage, and I don't like that. But I can't find like a major outlet version of this footage. Can we get to rolling here, buddy? Okay, it's coming up. All right, so it looks like another flyover the Japan park, I guess. And then we got triceratopsing. Another look at maybe social animations here between the parents. Yep, that's a very adorable bounding baby. Baby raptors. I don't really like these baby raptors, I'm going to say. I feel like these could look cuter. Samosas. I should probably try to crop this better, actually. Because I realize now we've got a large chunk of this kind of cropped off the screen here. Let me fix this. All right, a little more in frame there. Mosa animations. Swimming around each other. Quetzalcoatlus confirmed. Not surprising. It is the Biosyn design, so that's noteworthy. Babies fishing. Makes sense that the babies are more plain colored. That's pretty good. That makes a lot of sense. Nest. Yeah, the baby Rex does look pretty much like the Lost World design, I think. So at least there's that. That nest does not feel like a Rex nest, by the way. Yeah, that's pretty JP2 Lost World Junior coded, so alright. At least they got probably the most prominent juvenile correct, I guess. Or mostly correct. Okay, he's pausing. I'm going to skip ahead. Maybe not for much. Okay, yeah. Is that just replaying the whole thing? Okay, let me find the next clip. All right, we got some more gameplay footage. And now he's on the other side of the screen. Get off. Get your face off. Go away. Get out of here, Beaver. I've concealed him. Okay. Also, we need to be able to see the UI strip on the side here. Okay. So we got maintenance facility, which is a twist over the previous separate ACU and everything. Okay. And then clicks on it. We see maintenance teams 2, work and repair. Oh, that's really cool. That's like a fake facade for the maintenance thing. That's really sick. That's really cool. That's actually concealed like behind walls and decorations. I like that. Good order on maintenance state. So kind of like an automated, like here's the state of the park thing. It looks like the maintenance team is specifically the ATVs. Looks like we've got a nice little garage. Okay, and we see them rolling out and doing their shit. The ATVs look like they might be kind of fun to drive, but the vehicle mechanics are always pretty shit. Security camera, pausing to read description. Uses an arc of vision to detect escaped dinosaurs, require power to function, assign a capture team to security camera to tranquilize any escaped dinosaurs. Okay, so these will work like alternate versions of ranger posts, where you can assign a capture team and sort of automate security. Interesting. So that is some potential gameplay implications. Um, we got some different other UI elements there. And yeah, okay, so the cameras definitely do have like local footage. Now, I wonder, you can automate capturing. Can you automate the repair? It looked like okay, the footage is implying that was automated. But like there's definitely cuts here, right? So I think we shouldn't read into that too much. And then it looks like we have to actually manually transport, maybe, which is like halfway defeating the purpose of automating some of these breakout mechanics. Like, what's the point of automating part of this if you don't automate it all? I guess the automating the sedation is good because that, minimizes the amount of damage around the park. So I suppose there's that. He's talking a lot about this. The crates, sure, yeah, man. Can we go back to the footage? Okay, I picked his footage because I'm pretty sure when I listened to the first like 5 seconds, he was like, "We'll watch it first and then talk about it." But he's not doing that. He's pausing and talking about shit. So he's really derailing why I picked his footage. Okay. Well, is that the end of the clip? Maybe. Sorry, there's not a better way to view these. Like, I don't know. I don't know. I couldn't find the raw footage anywhere. I think it's there's like a clip that was shared that somebody said they found on IGN, and I could not find that clip. They couldn't didn't post a fucking link, which is not very helpful. Um, so was this a different shot? No, that's when the camera was placed. Okay. Yeah, so he's looking at what else was there in the thing. We do get, oh man, that's marketplace facility. Okay, marketplace confirmed in. The dinosaur market is in the game. You can purchase dinosaurs, eggs, and genomes. That's crazy. I don't think that one pops up when they pan over it. Funny that that snuck in there. Confirmation of the dinosaur marketplace is actually a huge gameplay thing. It makes sense though. Like they're gonna borrow not just from the JWE1 campaign, but from the Malta campaign too. Like that makes a lot of sense, especially for the vibe of like switching between these different islands and shit. Yeah, that was a manual drive because it had the UI to click on the fence to repair. So that was manual. So that's kind of weird that some of it's automated and some of it isn't. Okay, do we have like what a design video here maybe? He did me a favor and didn't move again, so that's great. Okay, yeah, so they're putting water in here, which is changing how the cliff works, and then the waterfall comes automatically. This is all pretty much what we knew. It's good to see more of it in action. The automatic rock placement is great. I really like that. That really helps add to the vibe. But then just the animals not being able to scale the cliffs is going to open up so many options too. Okay, you can grab a whole ass rock and move it. Crazy. Look at the modular building. This is a lot. Oh, this is quite a lot. This is too much for me probably, but gonna look forward to downloading some interesting designs from other people on the workshop. Jeez. I'm impressed. This is more than I expected they'd do. This is full proper PK style like modular building designs. Okay, come on now. You placing fucking shutters and adjusting them? That's insane. That's crazy. That's a lot. That's too much for me. You can place individual plants. Holy cow. Dude, people are gonna go crazy with this. I gotta see Evo Square's reaction to this particular clip because I feel like I feel like this is her shit. There's so much. There are so many individual decorations. This is crazy. This is such a step up over 2. It's insane. It's crazy that we're going from the handful of decorations we had to this full modular system. This is wild. I am gonna use a fraction of this ever because this is way too much for me personally. I wonder if how much of that is like Planet Zoo, because I'm not clear on that. I've never really looked very closely at Planet Zoo's building before. Um, yeah, interested too, like the path connections, all that still kind of works. That's probably what the template base is kind of controls, right? Because there is kind of this base default footprint for the building. So I'd imagine the footprint really controls a lot of the actual behind the scenes, you know, functionality of how this works. Should make some sense. Okay, well, let's see if there's any other footage here. Cabot Finch confirmed. Another Reddit user pointing out here that we do see the Jurassic Park Era Visitor Center in the video, so that's great. Confirmed that at least some of the classic era stuff is in. Well, it looks like that's probably about everything that dropped today for new information, so we'll wrap this video up here. I think it's plenty long. Yeah, and we'll keep covering new info as it drops and giving my feedback and opinion on things. So, see you later.